So the Tar Heels now have a very critical 72 hours upcoming at them. Pitt again, who has not won since they beat the Tar Heels. They lost at Wake and then lost by like 16 or 17 at home to Virginia. They're coming to the Smith Center Saturday, 4 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 3. And then the Heels go to Clemson Monday night, so a Saturday-Monday turnaround. Clemson just lost to Georgia Tech in triple overtime, which I'm going to hop on my old man pedestal for a minute, Adam. And look, we saw this from the Tar Heels in that 4 overtime game against Alabama. Why is it that now at the end of every regulation or overtime, if you have the ball, nobody runs anything anymore? They just give it to a guard and say, all right, go. And like Chase Hunter took 3 3-pointers at the end of clocks throughout overtime that none of them went in. I mean, we saw Caleb Love shot it 40 times in that game. 40.
I don't always enjoy Jim Boeheim on television, but I did enjoy him in that game.
Yeah.
When he kept saying, just please don't shoot a 3. Like basically saying what we were all thinking. And then Chase Hunter would take a 3 and he'd go, ugh.
That's why I got out of this, Wes. So, anyway, Clemson's coming, or Carolina's going to Clemson. That's a hard place to play. Clemson's good. Good.
That'll be the third of 3 home games in a row for Clemson.
Yeah, and because they play Duke on Saturday. So, Adam, the Tar Heels at least got to get one of these. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, if not, they're at like 500 overall, and I don't think the Heels would be in a great spot to be in postseason play. And last thing, Adam alluded to this. I think it's going to be frustrating, Adam, to a lot of Tar Heel fans if the Tar Heels just come out and do the same thing. So, now, no one else is the coaches. Maybe the coaches feel like doing the same thing is the best plan of attack. But we'll have to see.
And these are teams you're capable of playing with. Carolina should have beaten Pitt at Pitt without Jalen Washington.
Yes.
As we are speaking now, we expect the Tar Heels
Carolina
to have
led
a
by
full
10
roster.
at Pitt. And then proceeded to have back-to-back turnovers that resulted in transition threes.
And had some foul trouble that you can't have. And that, I think that's...
Why do people fall down so much?
They do. They fell down a lot in that
Clemson game. I was just thinking about Pitt. The Tar Heels fell down all the time. Why are people falling down so much?
Yeah. I think some of the things that happened in that Pitt game at Pitt for Carolina, like the foul trouble, that's stuff that you think to yourself, is that correctable? Or is that just the way the Tar Heels are? And I'm not sure of the answer to that question because Carolina did completely fall apart when they encountered that foul trouble at Pitt in 2 separate times, first half and second half, which eventually cost them the game.
Yep.
So is it possible to just show that film to the people involved and say, we fall apart when this happens, don't do this anymore, and then have them go, okay, good, thanks for letting me know that I will fix this? I don't know. I feel like if that was the case, it would have happened by now. So is that just what the Tar Heels are this year, and you have to constantly overcome that? That's really hard to overcome. I don't know the answer to that. And in a lot of ways, I think that's going to decide this next month. I do think Carolina's better than Pitt, especially at the Smith Center. But you got to go prove it. And they're not like 1 point better than Pitt. Like this is a game that a Carolina team that we're all accustomed to beats by like 11.
Well, I think that's been the number one frustration for people is that this team is good enough to be better than it is. I think, if that makes sense. Do I think the Tar Heels are like a national championship favorite? No.
Right.
Do I think this team is better than 13-10 and scraping by either on the good side or not scraping by on the bad side by a couple of points repeatedly against all these teams, I do think they're better than that. But they have not shown it. And so I do think that's been the frustration, one of the key frustrations for people for this season.
And I don't think Clemson, while Clemson is very good, I think Clemson's better than Pitt.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But I don't think Clemson is so good that they should be like, oh, the Tar Heels are going to Clemson. Well, they're going to need a Herculean effort.
No.
I think Carolina's about as good as Clemson. Should be about as good as Clemson on paper.
I mean, the Tar Heels at this moment are in 7th place in the 18-team ACC.
A bad league.
Yeah.
But sometimes, unfortunately, what you put together on paper, when you throw it out there on the court, it just doesn't go together the right way. And that, so far, again, here in early February, that is how we're going to remember this year's team. They do have a chance, as Jones said, you got a week here. Are there other things you can do to try to make this group, that's the only group you got, try to make them a little more functional? And that's what we're going to find out, because you're playing opponents that are very similar to you between now and the Duke game. And if that's what's going to make this team so maddening, is that we're all going to think, just could have fixed a couple things, then that's a viable top 4 ACC team. But where things are right now, that's not what it is. So big 3 days here in the course of this season.
Quick, are you going to make it to Charlotte watch ACC tournament? Right now, BC, NC State, and Miami would be the 3 that do not make it. And, like, it's going to take something for them to get out of that, I think.
I forgot that there were those late night games on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wake beat Stanford and State lost to Cal. So now you got Miami, who won a game.
Yeah.
Against a team that Adam keeps saying is good in Notre Dame. No, Miami won, so they're 1-10, and then State and BC are 2-9. And then the next closest you got Virginia, who just won at Pitt. They're 4-8. Syracuse 4-8. So, and Notre Dame 4-7. Think how close. I mean, that's the other part about the Tar Heels. Like, Carolina's 6-5, and we all think about, well, they could be 8-3. Well, Tar Heels could also be like 3-8 pretty easily.
Yes.
Like Notre Dame, NC State, Georgia Tech, those could have easily gone the other way. So, understandably, we think about the close games that didn't go right, but there's some close games that did go right, and thank goodness they did, or it would be a much worse position.
This isn't a year of, just got some bad bounces, and they all went the wrong way.
Right.
They've gone about the way you'd expect, about half good, about half bad.
Yeah.
The problem is you're in all those games.
And I will credit Hubert Davis for this. He keeps saying that. I mean,
right.
he gets it.
Yes.